What's going on, workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
And today we're talking about what we're most excited about for patch 5.5. Honestly, I think it's one of the most exciting pieces of, most exciting times to be in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. So if you guys are even seeing this video and you've been away for a while and you're wondering if you should come back, simple answer is yes. Simple answer is hit that thumbs up button and share button and subscribe button and check out this WTG beanie. It's backwards because it's mirrored, but it looks good. Anyway, Chris, how's it going?
It's going good. So I think the big things that are coming out when this video goes live, I think the big things that are coming out today, as we record this from the past for the future of the present, is I think so we will be getting new story. The last bit of our MSQ part 1. There will be a part 2 in 55555, and we're getting the end of the Sorrow We're Lit chain.
Yep.
The end of the Yorha collab for our Alliance Raid series. And Dolphins and Seagulls. Have I hit the big 4? Equal parts excitement.
With Gilded Mounts, man. Gilded freaking
Is that
mounts.
tomorrow? Does it start tomorrow or is that 55555?
That's tomorrow, right?
I don't have enough money. I don't know how much they cost, but it's not. I won't have enough.
That's the best part about it. That's the best part about it. Like, I can't wait to see how how this motivates. Like, is it, am I gonna two pieces? Like, is it where you see it and you get excited about the cost of it, or B, do you see it and you just get defeated? And no matter what,
game one.
Well, yeah, for you, but I'm just expecting in the world of Reddit, like, there's definitely gonna be somebody who's like, I've played this game for 10,000 hours, and there's never a way that I could afford any of those mounts. And then people are like, what are you talking about? They just buy 10 of them and call it a day.
Now we're also getting new crafter stuff is tomorrow. I know we're getting, like, the relic stuff would be at the end, but I think the new shiny weapons, and the new delivery every week would be tomorrow as well.
Yeah, none of that doesn't interest me at all. Like, honestly, I'm just
that's
really
the big stuff.
Yeah, I'm wanting to see where the story goes. We got the towers that just kind of popped up in the world. What's going on with that? We had, obviously a cliffhanger of an ending with 5.4. If you guys don't remember, we're not going to spoil it here, but just cue into the fact, like, it's like, here we go. Like, this is going to be like the 5.4 is like, hey, okay, we're kind of shifting our focus, but now we've got Endwalker in sight. Now we've got the story itself. So first and foremost, I'm playing this game for the story. Second, in a weird twist of a way, really excited to see what happens with the Near Raid. With Alexander, I've said this a couple of times in different videos, but if you've never seen my opinion on it, I didn't like Alexander until its 3rd chapter. Like, Alexander was like, what is this? And then the 3rd chapter happened, and I go, oh, this was really excellent. I really now appreciate even the past chapters that I was like, I don't know what's going on or what's the story going to be about. Especially coming off of, and it's very similar to like a situation coming off of Bahamut's raid. Like, I was like, this is awesome. And then Alexander, I was like, what is the problem? And then the 3rd chapter having that now, same thing coming off of Evil East for the 24-man. This is awesome. Near raid. What is this? Really has me excited for what's going to happen in Endwalker, but beyond Endwalker today, like, I really hope that hooks me. I really hope that makes me go, yes, this was totally worth it. This is the best collab ever. And if it's not, then I'll just move on and I'll go play and I'll look forward to the relic. That's it for me right now. Like, Gilded Mounts, story, and then the relic, while it's in the part 2 patch, I'm really excited to see that continue. So I'm probably going to spend 5.5, like all the way up to that, just working on relic, working on making Gil. Like, that's great. Like, I want a reason to log in every day. Like, I want that reason, and that's not on Square Enix. That's on me. Like, I went and leveled everything, and like, I'm really looking for some new goal for me to kind of find that fun, because the game is hella fun. Like, it'd be weird to be like, hey, we make videos about this game that's not fun, but it's hella fun. But I just want to find new goals for me, and that's me speaking as a legacy player. I can't say that that's the same gonna ring true for everybody out there.
So, 2-part heads up. First is today's video is brought to you by the fact that we stream live on Twitch 8 to 2 Monday through Friday. And then Brian the new pattern has been, he's been joining me on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but we're kind of settling in where that'll be is something we can commit to long term.
Yeah.
But that's felt good so far. Tomorrow for patch day, I'm going to be live 2 hours early. So today, if you're seeing this, and the reason means that I will have already been live because I'm going to try to do things in order of spoileriousness. And so I consider a quest and a cutscene the 2 points worth protecting. So if you see spoiler in the title, that means that I am doing quests or cutscenes. Running content, dungeons, trials, raids, I don't really find that as spoilery. There are cutscenes mixed in on those, so I'll take spoiler out. So just be aware, it'll say 5.5 content in there, so everybody, like, it's all new. But like MSQ is the one thing that I think is really worth protecting. The story around the end of Sorrows of Orlet, the story at the end of the Nier stuff for anybody that's important too. Those are the things I consider important. I don't consider seeing my first dolphin spoiler. I don't, so that's kind of my line there.
What are you most excited about for 5.5?
The second thing I will say is there's also going to be a lot of complaining coming off of the Guild that this is all bots. As somebody who has played MMOs when they've added large items that cost resources to lust after, actually what ends up happening is a lot of people aim to make money, and so they go do all the traditional money-making themes, which means supply spikes. Then all those people list, and you listing at 100 and me listing at 99, well, somebody comes in at 98 and we race to the bottom. But if you list it at 100, I might undercut at 60 in hopes that somebody buys it out quickly. And I would rather have 60 than you have 100 is a theory that gets followed. And so it's this drastic race to the bottom. So it is not necessarily indicative of bots. It might be, it might not be, but people themselves are perfectly capable of crashing markets when something like this happens. So just be aware as of tomorrow, it may for a short time get very hard to make Gil in 14. So just a PSA right there. As for what I'm most excited about, I think MSQ has me oddly excited, considering my role with story on this journey of Final Fantasy XIV. Story hasn't always been my forefront. I'm excited to wrap up Sorrows of Orlet. That's an emotional roller coaster of a side story through our trials. And I'm excited to put that one to a close. I think there's a sense of dread I have knowing that has had some of our highest peaks and valleys for like how I personally receive the story. And so just closing that, I think, would be like a burden off my shoulders, is like what could happen. So I would like to see that kind of put to bed. And I'm excited to see what the guild prices are. I'll probably grind whatever the amount is to get the Namatsu gilded. It doesn't matter if that amount's a billion gil. I won't grind it all in one go. It's not going to be I'm going live tomorrow and I'm not going live till it's paid for.
Stopping till I have a billion.
But I will continually log in slowly. There have been a couple of things in the game where like it overcomes my inability to stick to something, and it's something I can just drive to day in and day out until I hit a goal. Depending on how big those numbers are, that will determine, do I get any gilded mounts after that?
Okay.
Or along the way, right? If they're not listed at the same price, if the first one's 10 million and the second one's 500 million, then I get the 10 million one, even if it's not Namatsu, because I'm right there. So I'm excited to see what that price is. I think I'm more excited for 555.
Oh, yeah?
I think as far as stuff tomorrow, it'll be nice to get a new Unreal. I have tried the previous Unreals, but not enough times to get a clear. I've been trying them week ones or in the last weeks, and the groups I've been in just haven't gotten clears. The story will be good. The dungeons, this expansion in particular, haven't really spoken to me as a general rule. I think Matoya's is probably the strongest foot forward in that category. Yeah. The Alliance raids as a whole, compared to last expansions, I don't feel they're as good, and I'm really excited about next expansion, so that puts the Nier stuff in a weird spot. I never played Nier, so that's got to be part of that.
I've played it. It just does. Right now, it just doesn't fit within the world.
It's such a contrast. It's such a contrast. It's such a odd way of telling stories compared to 14, and so I just don't see where they tie together in the same way that like a callback to a previous Final Fantasy does.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to blend as well for me personally.
That's why I think Ivalice was such a powerful raid, because even Ivalice has built into Bozja. Like it feels rooted, and it honestly feels like after this, there's just not going to make sense that all of a sudden there's androids running around that's so separate and disconnected from everything. It's an interesting thing to do because Nier is such a great game. In fact, they've got the Nier,
beloved.
Yeah, and they have a new, like the remaster for that's coming out. I think this 23rd of April, so it's not even that far away. So it's like they have that, and that there's things to experience and enjoy about the game and the genre. But yeah, within the world of Final Fantasy, like I just sit here and go, I would have loved them to explore more on the first that relates with something that's a part of the shards than this Android thing, because it just doesn't. I don't know. Like, hey, welcome. We're gonna talk about what we like about 5.5. Turns out here's us just ranting about Nier.
Yeah.
Derail.
It makes you wonder what other franchises are locked away on other shards.
Yeah.
Nier only exists on the first.
Crossover with Super Mario,
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
like Square Enix did the Super Mario RPG. Like all
Yep.
of a sudden, like we're just pulling that one right out of our work to game
Nintendo
hat.
throws enough money at it that it's on the 64th shard. We rewrite lore to make room for it.
Oh yeah, it's always been there. It's always been there.
It's always been in the There weren't 64 shards. There are now.
There are now.
So I am excited to see the fishing raids continue to get updated. I'm excited to go hands on with another seasonal event. The last seasonal event I did was the Christmas one. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I usually like them in this game. The Halloween one, obviously this year, Halloween was a hard time for the game.
Yeah, it got
And
cut.
I've
Yeah.
always, so that got cut. So I'm excited for chicken suits and shenanigans. I don't have a list of everything that's in the patch in front of me. 5.5 for me is not about, we got a comment on one of our previous videos that said, you guys gave a guide, you guys filmed a video on the discussion of what to do when you're at cap now. And we filmed it from two perspectives. We filmed it twice.
Mhm.
Once for, this is your first time being caught up, and once from the, you're returning or you're an existing player looking to scale up your time. What do you do? And in both of them, the advice kind of summed up to whatever you want, which isn't wildly helpful. And actually, that accurately sums up how I feel about 5.5. It is the patch where nothing you do matters because it's all going to expire with the expansion. 5.1 prepared you for 5.2. 5.2 prepared you for 5.3. 5.3 prepared you for 4. 4 for 5. 5 doesn't prepare you for 6.0 because in 6.0 we're going to hit the reset button. And so there's a freedom to that where it's not about being productive. There's nothing optimal about 5.5. You just play what you want. And so if you want to go get lost in maps or leveling up crafters that you never plan on doing max level stuff with, or try fishing raids to see if you can get a shark mount, or run beast tribes in ARR because now that there's flying, you're finally willing to go do those. Like, it literally doesn't matter. And so for me, it's a patch of spending time with friends, celebrating everything we've done because everything is at its easiest point because we're all in super overpowered mode because gear is easier to get. We're incredibly powerful during 5.5. And I want to build up on the things I can keep. So I want to build up on my experience pools because not all my classes are leveled. And I want to build up on my permanent unlocks. So this is a great time to go get mounts, minions, orchestrant scrolls, achievements, things that I can keep, because spending a bunch of time hitting max levels, spending a bunch of time driving myself to, the highest parse I'll ever have, just feels like it's going to get tossed out the window this fall. Not a building step, but no, you got to relearn with the new abilities anyway.
Yeah. I think when you look at that, it's like I always usually focusing on more permanent unlocks, borrowed power systems, or things that just kind of ultimately just, I'm like, no, it's when it comes down to the mindset of like a dad with a job and like wanting to either play one game heavily or play or at least sample a couple of different games, in any particular like season of games. I look at it, it's like, no, what is something that's going to pay off for me in the next expansion? And that's leveling. Like, that's leveling hands down. And that's the problem that I've actually run into in this example, where in the past I've always had one or two things that I could go ahead and level, and I would focus in on that during this cycle. Like, you run your expert, you get your tome cap easily, doing a little PvP, get your tome cap easily. Like, there's these systems in place that were always just like, I kind of fed myself with that, and then I'd spend time with experience. And in this case, I'm like, well, I don't need that. So what can I focus on? And in a way, it's ultimately the most freeing process that I've had in any expansion going into this game so far to date. Because not only like, what am I most excited about with 5.5? It's like, actually, it's kind of like when you look at this whole package, 5.5, April 13th, boom, May 15th. So just a couple days over a month, new job, whole new experience, ready to rock and roll. Then at the end of May, so 2 more weeks after that, like we're looking at a 6-week just celebration of Final Fantasy XIV. What am I most excited about? It's not any one feature of this patch. The feature I'm looking forward most is the new zone. Like when it comes to the raid and comes to the Bosha, like that's something I'm really excited about. Delibram was phenomenal. Like I can't praise it enough. Yes, I haven't done my 18 Delibram runs. I might be working on that today. So just come hang out with me. 15, whatever the number is. Like I haven't fully like gotten completely burned out because like that's how I consume the game. Like I play when I can. And that's where, like, if you're going to sit here and say, Brian, what, like, we were kind of doing a bet, like, in our last video about, like, Final Fantasy XIV having some connection to Game Pass. That could even be Game Pass BC, you know, anyway. But regardless, like, I'm just, like, I would love to see this game come to GeForce Now. Like, just for me to be able to have a little bit more windows into access, so I'm not sitting here having to, like, jump through so many hoops to play. It just makes it easier for me to jump in and knock out a dungeon
GeForce
or two.
is a sponsor of FanFest.
Yeah, so...
They're aware.
I hope so. That's one of the things that I've been loving about Guild Wars too. By the way, like you got 62 in Guild Wars.
Yeah,
I'm at 60. So you got me by 2 levels right now. So I'm gonna have to catch
it.
It
only tracks like what level you are. I don't know how it determines when I look at my profile pane, my friends pane, but if they're not online, I feel like that number is sometimes up to date and sometimes not.
So long story short, like I'm really excited about this next 6 weeks. It's going to be really exciting for players who are veterans. You know, we've talked about it. Just make sure you manage your burnout. But players who are returning, this is going to be the time. You know, that's going to be feeling really good. So
it's a fun time to be part of the community. It's a time that it's really long, so we get to talk openly about things because we all kind of naturally end up in the same spot. The people who only get to play 1 or 2 hours a week and the people who play 15 hours on patch day, we all kind of end up in the same position, as opposed to throughout other patch cycles. It's possible over that many days that like somebody's like, oh, don't spoil it for me. But like over 5.5, it's long enough that like even the people who are playing slowly just get caught up.
Yeah.
And they're just pending and they want to be there for patch day. So they put in the extra time to get caught up. So it's a great time to talk about lore. We have so little hints of where it's going that any guess is relatively viable. So lots of ridiculous guesses out there. Some will hold more water than others. It's one of the easiest times to be caught up in gear for more casual players. It's the closest that the eye levels get between casual and those kind of hardcore best in slot players. It's the narrowest that window gets, especially relative to the content, especially with not having an ultimate. Like a lot of the top Savage people, you know, it's less exciting for them because they were gearing up to get into ultimate. So as soon as ultimate got cut, I know a few members of the community are like, well, then I'm done. And so they kind of, you know, hung their hat on hard content for the rest of this expansion. And so it's an exciting time. We'll get a last extreme. That'll be our last hard thing there. It'll be a great time to farm up tomes. This is the end of Esoterics officially ended. So hopefully you guys got some sweet loot from that. And I think all in all, I'm really excited to see what the Gilded Mount comes in at. And I'm excited to start putting things to bed because that's what lets me emotionally be more invested in Endwalker. Is that I'm starting to close the door on aspects of Shadowbringers that I'm still invested in.
Absolutely. So guys, let us know what you guys are most excited about for 5.5. You can also tune in. Chris, like he said, he's going to have that spoiler tag and not spoiler tag so you know when it'll be safe to jump in. And we'll also try to hopefully get him to clip his reactions. So if you are there, clip his reactions either for fun little bit rewards or for Game Club to kind of capture those things over there. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I do want to say thanks to Wargriff and to Gallopolis. Wargriff with the follow, Gallopolis with the resub prime, and I'm going to butcher it, Jaguba with the Prime sub. If you guys are interested, again, if you have Amazon Prime, you can hook it up to Twitch. You can support us, or you can support any creator out there. I'd highly encourage you that if you got that, make sure that you're using that Prime sub somewhere over on Twitch. It's basically free, free Amazon bucks that you can kind of toss out there as a part of kind of your perk there. So we do appreciate it when you choose to give it to us, but be sure that you're using it somewhere on the platform. That's going to wrap us up for Work to Game. My name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope to see you in our next one, but until then,
take care.